Hi, hello. My name is Freya and I am a knitter and textile student living in Glasgow with my girlfriend and my two cats. Hello if you're new or old. Hello. There's no easy way to start these things, I don't think. I've made notes again because I've cast on quite a few things, more things that I spoke about casting on in my last one. And I will say, one driving force between one driving force for how many new cast-ons, and also a bit of a bit of wool that I've bought, is that my mental health has been awful, which has meant a lack of concentration, a lot of dissociation, and a lot of trying not to be anxious, which means a lot of knitting. Yeah, I've done quite a lot, I think. Maybe not, we'll see. I think I've got about 3 finished objects, a couple of cast-ons, and quite a bit of wool that I've bought. Yeah, we'll get onto that. So let's just jump into my first finished object, which is something that I started 2 podcasts ago, I think, and it is finished and I love it. It is the Birds of a Feather Shawl by Andrea Mowry. It's like no easy way to show this. It's massive, like massive. It's like twice my wingspan. I love this, by the way, and as soon as I finished it, I was really sad because this knit is quite special to me because the main colour, which is the solid colour, the one that's a gradient, was a gift from my girlfriend for my birthday, and it is the Zauberball flower, which is a little plate slash cake of yarn in the colourway I don't even know. The colourways are all numbers, so that confuses me, so I don't really know what the colour is. And the other colour which I bought to go with it is the Rowan Kid Silk, the Rowan Mohair in Purplicious, I think it is. This is so soft. Both of these yarns are so soft. Like, I know the Zauberball, if I remember correctly, which I think so, is 100% merino, which merino is like one of the softest yarns, so that's soft anyway. But this Rowan mohair is the softest mohair that I have used. But the only mohair that I've used before using this one is the Drops one. And to me the Drops one was really soft, but I had heard other people say that that there are softer mohairs, like that is not the softest one. And a lot of people have said that this is really soft, and I definitely agree. It is a lot more expensive, but for this pattern you only needed 2 balls, so for smaller projects it's worth it. For me it's worth it because, well, one, the other yarn was so special. I just couldn't bring myself to use a budget friendly mohair. I just had to have a good quality mohair that went with it, and it lived up to the hype of being a really soft mohair for sure. I loved knitting this pattern. Before now, shawls have never really called me. It's, if I was going to knit a big project, it was going to be a jumper. But I saw somebody's version of this, and it just made me want to knit the pattern. This is like the first shawl pattern that I've been like, and I spoke about this before, so yeah, but this is like the first shawl pattern that I've sort of gone, I want to make that. And I actually really liked knitting on it, and I thought I wouldn't like knitting on it because it was a lot of knitting, and actually it was quite a small needle for the amount, like, I can't describe it. It was quite a small needle, so it was a lot more knitting for how big it is. Like if I was using bigger needles and bigger yarn, I could get a bigger amount of knitting in a shorter space of time. I'm not explaining that properly, but as soon as I cast it off, I was really sad. I could have knit on this for much longer, just because it was so enjoyable. Like, I don't know why it's so enjoyable. I think coming from making so many jumpers and socks, for example, I know that's not a big project, but having to make two of things, so like, for example, making sure that your tension is the same for both socks so they come out the same size, or if I'm changing the pattern for like the sleeves on things and I'm doing less decreases, then I've got to remember to do that on the other one so that they're the same. For a shawl, you don't have to do that, which is like a massive a massive upside to making shawls. Like that, I think that's one of the reasons why it was so enjoyable, because it was a bit more freeing. And I did make a couple of mistakes, which I went over. I accidentally did one extra repeat on this stripe here, this mohair stripe, so it is a tiny bit thicker than the other ones, and you can't tell. Like now that I've knitted the whole thing, you can't tell, and because it's like literally wrapped around me, like who's gonna know? Me, I know. I do know, but it doesn't bother me anymore. It did bother me at the time when I was knitting, and a while after I'd made the mistake, I was like, oh no. But I just couldn't be bothered to rip back, so I didn't. But that doesn't bother me at all. One thing, this is like a really small thing, but it's the small things that, you know, count. So for this, you just need one stitch marker in the middle, so that you know like where to decrease. Yeah, where to decrease in the middle, you just need a stitch marker there. And this is a stitch marker that I had. Can you see that? And that's not really focusing, but like, look how perfectly that matches. Like, it's the small things, isn't it? I had to show you that. I just had to. So that is my first finished object. I love it, and for a long time after, and still now, I'm like window shopping yarn online. I'm like, oh, that would make a really good birds of a feather shawl. That's like the problem with me knitting, is that I'll knit something and I fall in love with it so much that I want to knit again straight away, but I'm not going to straight away. But I'm definitely making this pattern again because it was really fun, and yeah, I just love it. I've been wearing it like every day because I get really cold up here, like, but I don't want to constantly be wearing like a turtleneck where I can't take it off. But with this, you can like wear it, and then if you get too hot, you can just wear it like this. Or if you're really cold, you can just wear it like this. So actually, I kind of am a shawl person, and that has made me want to go on and knit. In particular, Stephen West shawls, because they are crazy and amazing, but they are a time investment, and it's a goal. It's a goal, and I will get there. I will get there. I know there's the knit along, the mystery knit along, which he does, where he puts out like part of the pattern one week and then the next week part of a pattern. So you don't know what it looks like, but then at the end you make this shawl, which sounds really fun, but I don't, the yarn would be really expensive to buy for what it is, and I'm scared that I'd go into it and then I'd lose, like, you know, I'd lose the excitement for it halfway through. And I know that his shawls take a long time to make, so I don't think that's for me just yet, but it's definitely something that I want to do. That's enough on the shawls. I will go on to the next finished object, which is not something that I spoke about starting on my last podcast. It has been something that has been in my like Ravelry favourites queue thing to make for a while now. And do you know what it was? After that show, I was just craving like a quick project that I would get the finished object faster, just because that took a while. And I kind of need that, you know, what's the word? Difference. You need the long projects and the short projects just to keep it fun. And I made the honey clutch. I've got stuff in here. This doesn't really come up on camera very well, which is really annoying, but this is the first time I've put a zip on knitting, and it wasn't actually as difficult as what I thought it would be, but I mean, I love this. I absolutely love this. Like, this is brioche. This is the honeycomb brioche, yeah. This is my first time doing brioche, and I was terrified of brioche. Brioche is, do you know what, I actually don't know how to describe it. It's just a different like stitch pattern. It's a different technique, and I always thought that's too hard for me, but I thought, let's give it a go. Like, at the moment I'm kind of, well, going in and out of wanting to actually learn new techniques at the moment with knitting. So I thought, well, that's perfect. It's a small project, so a small little practice brioche project, because eventually, and I will go on to this at the end, eventually I want to make a big brioche project. So anyway, I did it. And the brioche isn't actually as hard as what you think. It takes a while to sort of get into, I don't know how to describe it when you learn a new technique, but sort of get into the mindset of it and understand how the stitches come together to construct like the stitch pattern, if you know what I mean. I'm sure some people will understand that. Like, yeah, I don't know how else to describe it other than like, it takes a while for you to understand the stitches, so that if something went wrong you can like troubleshoot it and fix it. That's when you've learned the technique, is when you can fix a problem doing the technique, I think. And I sort of wrapped my head around it after a while, and yeah, I made it, and it was actually quite fun. This called for a 2 point, right. I have a lot to say. This is the Honey Clutch by Petite Knit. Now, Petite Knit is like one of the most well-known knitwear designers, and I bought the Terezzo, I don't know how to say it, Terezzo sweater pattern, which I was going to make out of some scraps that my auntie had passed down to me, and I must have cast that on about 4 times with different size needles, and I still couldn't get like the gauge or the fabric that she intended for that project. And I've heard a couple of other people say that her gauge is a bit weird, and I didn't gauge for this because it doesn't really matter what size it is, because it's not like fitting my body or anything like that. So I couldn't be asked, so I just cast it on. And my gauge is like completely different to hers. which I kind of knew from making that other one, but man, her gauge is weird. Like normally I get gauge on the pattern so much so that I don't really gauge swatch because I always get the gauge and it's just more time spent not knitting the project. But I did not get gauge on this at all. She in the pattern it's meant to be like maybe this big, and it's meant to have, I could be wrong, it's meant to have a 17 centimeter zip. Now after knitting it, I ended up, which was quite painful, but I managed it. I ended up having to basically shorten the zip to a 13.5 centimeter zip. That's quite a difference. Like, that's a massive difference. And like, I don't really want to give away the pattern. I don't think this is, but how do I say this without giving away the pattern? On here, you've got to pick up these stitches and knit this way. And she says to pick up one knit stitch and then there's a yarn over and a knit stitch. And she says to pick up the yarn over and the knit stitch as one stitch and knit. Oh my god, am I confusing people more? Probably. But I tried that and it was like all scrunched up like this. So I ended up knitting the knit, pick up the knit stitch, pick up the knit stitch and pick up the yarn over. And even then it's like pulled it in a little bit. So it's really put me off buying any of her patterns in the future because my knitting style obviously is not compatible with hers, and a lot of times designers put in like links to videos to help with like learning the technique or whatever, and she just put in a link to her website and then you've got to find the video. And I looked on like every video and I could not find the video of the technique that she was trying to help teach. So I don't know what that was about. I ended up just using my instinct or like a YouTube video. So yeah, that pattern's really weird. I like the outcome and I think I did this is not going to focus, but I think I did a really good job of the lining, which I had to improvise because the final thing came out so much smaller, which entailed a bit of maths, but I managed it. Anyway, yeah, I did expect this to be bigger, which is a shame because I'm using it for like all my notions, like my I just want to show this because I absolutely love this. I made this is my needle holder, and I embroidered this little thing, put some poppers on it, and that's where I keep my needles. I made a little pouch for the bigger needles. My granny had something like this, and I've not actually seen anybody else with anything like this apart from her, and I just vaguely copied hers. This is completely different to hers, but it's the same idea. Anyway, I keep stuff like that in it, and like safety pins and all of that stuff, pencil. So I wish it was a wee bit bigger, but it's not. I still love it. It's so soft. I didn't even say the yarn that I used. The yarn was scraps / leftovers. I know that one of them was Drops Kid Silk in Moonshine, the Moonshine colourway. And the other one, I could be wrong, I will put it down below anyway. The other one was Drops Flora in Beige. Drops Flora, I think it's alpaca and wool. So this is like so soft and squishy. And my cat used, I have it on my couch like next to me. And my little cat, Kiska, uses it as a pillow. So that makes it more special. That's all I really have to say about that. I will talk a little bit more in my whips because I've cast on another one. I've cast on another one, and I've made. Anyway, I'll talk about that in the whips. Yeah, my next finished object. Okay, for this video, I am gonna put timestamps because the next couple of finished objects are gift knits. So skip over this if you're a family. Please don't spoil it for yourself. Don't spoil it for anybody else. Thank you. Yeah, my next finished objects are. So I'm sure, in fact, I know that I had started this one in my last. I think maybe I got to about here. Could be wrong, something like that. Anyway, I hadn't finished it. So I finished this one. Again, this is a size 9 men's scrappy sock. I used 68 stitches on a 2.5 millimeters. I did a 32 stitch heel, 17 repeats of that. And that's that. I've spoken about these on literally every video, so I'm not going to go into detail about that. And then I cast on the next one, but I made this cuff bigger. These are meant to be a pair, but I made this cuff bigger. So now this isn't a pair, which means I have to cast on another sock for this and another sock for this to have a matching pair, which I was going to do anyway, but that was just a bit annoying. But anyway, I cast on my next one. This is how far I've got. That's really annoying to show you. Anyway, yeah, I cast on my another one, and I've done a lot of sock knitting apparently. It's because I was knitting on that honeycomb clutch, and the stitch pattern, although I'm halfway through I memorized it, like it's easy memorizable, it's easily, yeah. But it still required like some brain power, because if I made a mistake it was quite hard to then fix it. So like if I got tired or I wasn't having a good day, I can just knit on these and not even think. Like I can just zone out, and the only decisions I have to make is what colour goes next. So it sort of holds my attention enough, but it's mindless enough. So it's kind of perfect. Anyway, so yeah, I've knit a lot on the socks basically. So after this one, I just need to knit another one, and I will have my 2 pairs. So this will be all of these. What am I trying to say? Like after I've knit all of these pairs, I will have 3 pairs of scrappy socks to gift for Christmas, and I think that's enough men's socks that I need to make, or men's scrappy socks, because I think I'm gonna knit one more pair of men's socks, but I want to knit like a design, like a designed pair, like ones with like textured stitches on, so it's not scrappy, it's like you know, textured, and actually has like a design, and it's not just like a simple vanilla sock that's just knitting. And then when I've done that one, I'm going to make some women's socks. Yeah, why am I like confused about the simplest words at the moment? I'm gonna knit some women's socks to stock up and just send them away at Christmas. And I'm, fingers crossed, if I keep going, I should have Christmas presents socks all knitted up for Christmas. And then when it comes to Christmas, I don't even have to think about it. I just need to allocate the socks to people, and that's them. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. And that is all my finished objects. And now we will move on to whips. I have 3 other whips. and they're all green. Apparently I love green at the moment, which it was like purples and blues for a couple of months. And I think I've got that out of my system now, and now it is greens, and everything that I make is green. So the next three whips are green. Let's start with the honey clutch because I've just spoken about it. Now for the pattern and for the one that I knit, I used a 2.5mm needle. I just stuck to the pattern. I used the 2.5mm, and obviously that came out smaller and it was acting weird and I wanted a bigger one, so I went up to a 2.75. I didn't gauge swatch or anything. This is really hard to show. Yeah, I didn't gauge swatch or anything, I just cast it on, I was like, whatever. But this is really hard to show you because you knit the bottom, which is double knitting, which means both sides are the knit stitch. And I've not done that in literally like 9 years. I've not done double knitting. I don't know why, because it's not hard, it's just, well, it's not hard, it's just knitting basically. Anyway, you knit this and then you go around and pick up all of the stitches and then you knit in the round until you've made it. Yeah, so I started to pick up the stitches and I've started the honeycomb brioche. Now for the actual pattern it says to knit 17 centimeters for the bottom, and I did that for that one, my other one, and then I picked up the stitches, and when I picked up the stitches it ended up like bunching up and only becoming like 14 centimeters anyway. So for this one I bought a 15 centimeter zip because there's no way I was buying a set out. Even with a 2.75mm needle, I know that I would not have gotten 17 centimeters. So I bought a 15 centimeter one. And I just knit this bottom panel till 15 centimeters and then picked up the in fact I actually picked up just a couple more stitches on the side just to make sure that it was a bit bigger. Yeah, that's how far I've gotten. This bottom bit actually takes like the longest, so it might not look like a lot of knitting, but you basically knit each row twice, so it's actually twice as much knitting as that. Like it would be like this much knitting if it was normal knitting. Anyway, for this I am using Drops Kid Silk in apple green, I think that is. And this, do you know what, I've actually written this down, I don't know why I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. This is the King Cole Merino blend in Ivy, 4-ply in Ivy. Yeah, the plan was for this one. Now I don't know which one is going to end up being used for what, but the plan for this, for making another clutch, is because I get really bad like anxiety, and one of my anxieties whilst I'm out is losing my purse and losing my phone. I have to check in my bag like every 5 minutes because I don't want to leave it on a train or leave it at college or whatever I'm doing. I don't want to lose it. So the idea of making this is that I'm just going to throw it in my bag, and that is where I'm going to put my phone, put my purse, and then I'll know if I've got this in my bag, then I've got my phone and I've got my purse, if you know what I mean. So that I'm not digging around my whole bag trying to find it and then panicking and then setting myself off basically. So that's what this is for. A little bit of anxiety relief hopefully this will bring. Online I did actually think that this one was going to be more lighter, so that these would match a bit and it would be a lighter green. But in the end it's a darker green. And the mohair hasn't actually lightened it that much. That's not coming out like real life. That's coming out like turquoise, and actually it is like a green. It's not actually, the lighter mohair hasn't lightened the darker one as much as what I hoped. I still like it, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was going to be lighter, but I'm not bothered, I still love it, and it creates a really nice fabric. The brioche is like squishy and just so squishy. If I had the patience, I would absolutely love a jumper or cardigan in that, because it is just, honestly, and it's so warm. Like, this is weird, but whilst I was making it, I kept on like putting my hands in it, because you just put your hand in it and instantly it's like warm. Really weird, but I loved it, and I kept giving it to my girlfriend to do the same thing, and we both loved it. Yeah, is that weird? Probably, but I really like brioche, and I'm definitely, well, I'll talk more about it in the acquisitions about brioche. Let's just say that. So next I will go on to a whip that I had no intention of casting on in my last video, but like I was saying, after I finished this, obviously this was like a long-term knit for me. It took longer than what I'd usually take to knit something, so after that I was just kind of craving really fast knits, and this is something else that's been in my Ravelry wish list to knit, whatever you want to call it. And this is the Look at My Holes by James N. Watts. And it's just like a super holy lace top. Why is this? See, now I did actually gauge swatch for this, go me, but I used different yarn for it. And the pattern calls for 5.5mm, if I'm right. Yeah, the pattern calls for 5.5mm needles, but I ended up using a 6mm, which got me the gauge, or at least it got me closer to the gauge that was in the pattern. Yeah, so I used a 6mm, and I did the size 2, I think, because he says to give quite a lot of ease, but I didn't want too much positive ease. Like, I didn't want to be like too oversized. Obviously I've split for the arms now, and for the body it's all scrunched up because it's on tiny needles, and I know that's really annoying. Oh, one thing that I did was, normally in the pattern it has ribbing around here, and ribbing on the bottom of the sleeves, but I saw, I think her name is Jacqueline something, I'll put her picture up here. Her version, she omitted the ribbon up here, the ribbon on the sleeves, and the ribbon on the bottom, and that I prefer that look to the pattern. So I did that, and I love it. I've tried it on, but the arms have a lot more positive ease than the body, which is actually really annoying. I don't really like that look, but hopefully with blocking, I mean this will block out, so it's like so much, like the it will go from like this to this, because it's lace, obviously it does that. So hopefully I'll be able to block the body a bit more aggressively than the arms, and that'll sort itself out. I am using some, I mean, because I only need, how much is this? I only need like 2 50-gram balls to make my size. It's a sport weight yarn, so it's a bit thicker than 4-ply, a bit thinner than DK, basically. So I got 2 balls green. again, that's not gonna focus, but I got 2 balls of this. It's a bit more sagey and muted than it's coming out on screen there. This is the Land Lust Summerside. I don't know. I don't know. In the colour 003. I got this from, it's by Lana Groza. I got this from Rito Hobby, which after ordering once from them, I've kind of become obsessed with looking at their website and wanting everything on it. And I was actually looking on other websites like that are from the UK or whatever, that did a sport weight yarn that wasn't wool, like a sport weight yarn that was like a mix of cotton and something else, and they were either didn't exist or were like crazy expensive. But then I looked on here, and this, I'm sure this wasn't on offer anyway when I bought it, but the 2 balls only came to like £12, I want to say, so a whole top for £12 is completely affordable for me. And this is this is 50% silk and 50% cotton, so it's really soft, really soft. Now, I've spoken before about not liking cotton yarn, which I know is awful because I want to be knitting with more plant-based and not animal fibres for many reasons, but I just don't like knitting with it. Like, I really don't like knitting with it, but with it mixed with the silk, it's actually nice to knit with, and it's really soft. Like, it's really soft, so that helps, obviously. Yeah. I think I might have messed that up. Anyway, I'm noticing mistakes and that's really annoying. So that's that one. I don't think there's anything else to say on that. Yeah, we'll see. I will definitely be knitting it longer than the pattern says. Like, the pattern is like really cropped, and I want it to be cropped, don't get me wrong, but not that cropped. And I'm also on those sleeves, the sleeves are a bit longer in the pattern, but I'm not adding any more length to the sleeves. I tried it on and that is plenty long enough. So I will be making the sleeves shorter and the body longer. And that's the only modification I've done for that. Yeah, not too many modifications on that. The next one. In fact, my last one. My last whip. My last whip is finally, I've spoken about this, wanting to knit this for a while now. My next whip is the Garland by Stephanie Palmier. I'm butchering that, I know I'm butchering that. But that's a tangle. That's not really coming up true to colour, it's more, it's a bit more green than that in real life. But this is in fact I've got all of the balls here. This is another wool by Lana Groza, again from Rito Hobby. This is the silk hair. Super Kid mohair. It is 70% mohair and 30% silk. Now this was a splurge. I've spoken about this before, but I was looking for exactly the same colour as the original pattern. Couldn't find it anywhere. And finally I found it on this website and it was a splurge. But I know that 1, I will wear this a lot, and 2, because it is super oversized and small needles, again, for me, it will give me lots of entertainment for a long time, so actually it's worth it. And oh my gosh, it is so soft. Like, it's It's hard going back to the drops mohair after knitting with this quality mohair. Now this is all bunched up again on needles, like it's all bunched up. This is massive. This is going to be so oversized. I mean, that's what the pattern calls for, but this is going to be a labour of love. It's going to take forever. You're probably going to get sick of me talking about it, but I mean, this took hours. This is a whole day of work. This is a whole day of work. And I only got that far. I stopped just, my next row will be doing the patterned, and I stopped because my concentration sort of wasn't good and my mental health was crazy. So I stopped working on this, and I started doing like the socks and stuff that was just easier, but slowly I am feeling a bit better, touch wood. And I should be able to get back onto this, but this is definitely not one that will be left in the unfinished objects for long, that's for sure. I will definitely not be abandoning this. I'm just being patient with myself and knowing that my love and passion for knitting on this will definitely come back soon. I'm not worried about abandoning it at all, because I mean, it makes such a difference knitting with yarn that is such good quality. It makes such a difference, and I'm definitely I'm definitely investing in yarn more. I think at the beginning of anybody's knitting journey, I think I'm not just speaking for myself here, it takes making a couple of garments to finally make something that you will wear, if that makes sense. Like the first couple of things that I properly made were actually crochet, and I wore those actually before, like whilst I was still crocheting, before I started like properly knitting jumpers. I wore those every day and I loved them, but I never wore them out the house. Like it wasn't like a yes. And then I started to make things like my ranunculuses and all of the Jessie made patterns, like the crop tops and stuff. That's when I started to make stuff that I was gonna wear out the house all the time. Like I'd finally reached the point where I was making stuff that I'd wear, and now everything that I make is stuff that I will wear. Like I'm at that point now in my knitting journey where I'm not making anything that I wouldn't wear. So I feel like it's time to step up and actually buy yarn that's, well, gonna last as well, because if it's better quality it will last, which I mean, I don't want to be making stuff that isn't gonna last. So yeah, definitely not feeling bad about spending a bit more yarn, but a bit more money on that. I'm like, this is like the stuff I've got to talk about, and then I'm putting it on a massive table here, and it's just like a sea of green. A sea of green, and I'm not mad. I absolutely love sage green at the moment. For some reason it's really pulling me in, and we're actually gonna paint our living room sage green, so I'll be staring at it for many years to come. Anyway, moving on to acquisitions. Now, like I was saying at the beginning, my mental health has been horrendous, and one of the things that I found solace in is buying yarn. Yeah, I bought a lot of yarn. For me, I bought a lot of yarn. Let's just start with the sock yarn. Let's start with the sock yarn, because I've got 4 more balls of sock yarn, and all of these are for scrappy socks. So I'm wanting bright colours, self-patterning, and I a while ago, when I first found the website Rito Hobby, I did actually find it because they had like all of these sock yarns, but at the time, like, I was the Rito Hobby is based in the Netherlands, if I'm remembering correctly, and I was always too scared to buy stuff from shops that was overseas because I don't know, I don't really have any experience of doing that. But anyway, I did it. It all went smoothly. So, so I finally bought the yarn that I was looking at like a year and a half ago to buy it. So I finally bought some yarn to test it out. And these are, first of all, these are the first two that I bought. And then in my next order, I bought these two. It's actually quite hard, well, very hard to find self-patterning, like bright coloured, stripy, whatever yarns that are budget friendly. Like, I know that like Annie and Carlos do like patterned socks, but also something that I look for is like I'll use this as an example, like something like I'm not talking right. This little section here is this one, so that's how that knits up there, and it's quite hard to find patterned sock yarn that is like small stripes next to each other. Like, I know that a lot of theirs is like big blocks of colour, then little stripes, and then big blocks, which doesn't really work for scrappy socks because I'll just end up like only using the stripes and white and like putting the solid colours away, and it would be a bit of a waste. Anyway, so I got these and I love these so much. I really love these. This one, this section here is this one, which I like. I've not got too many oranges, so I got that one. And this section that I'm currently on here, this one, was this one. So I finally have stocked up on self-patterned stripy sock yarn, which means all of my scrappy socks are looking good again. So I'm really happy with that I've tried it out. I will say that is a 4-ply yarn. It's the same meterage and everything, but it's just a tiny, like the tiniest a bit thicker than my other ones. It doesn't make a difference like in the overall sock, but I just thought I'd mention it, that it's just the tiniest bit thicker. So yeah, that's a couple of things that I got from Rito Hobby. And yeah, the next thing is this. Now this is BC Garn soft silk. It is 100% silk, which is like the most luxurious thing that I could think of getting. And I actually bought enough yarn of this one to make this look at my holes, and I bought this, which would be enough to make a look at my holes. And originally, oh my god, that stuck on me. Originally, I was going to make this one for myself, and I was going to make another one out of this for my little sister. However, my mum has found some black mohair in a charity shop that she's going to send to me, so that I can make, like, if anybody knows, like the Vivienne Westwood really holy mohair, literally like weighs nothing jumpers. So I'm gonna hold back on knitting her that. They both have like the same vibe, but she's wanting like the black, and I'm gonna knit her that instead. And that look at my holes is actually in collaboration kind of with Jessie Made, where he made the Look at My Holes and she made a little tank top that's meant to go under it. And this yarn is compatible with making that little tank top that goes underneath it. So that's what I'm going to make with this. I'm going to make the little tank top to go underneath there, and it's going to be a little set for myself, and it's going to be amazing because this is 100% silk. Like, that's crazy to me. 100% silk, next to Skin Soft, like crazy soft. That one's next to Skin Soft as well, so it's going to be like silk, green silk with green silk and cotton over the top, and it's going to be perfect. And both are quick knits, so, and vaguely mindless. Well, this one will be mindless because it's a lot of stock in it. That one's not actually that mindless. I don't know why I said that. But when I'm finished that, this will be mindless. So this can kind of take over the role of the socks for a bit maybe, and be like a bit of a palette cleanser for me. So that's my plans with that. I'm trying, it's a bit more muted. No, yeah, it's a bit more muted and darker than what it's showing up. But I really like this colour, again a green. I don't know what's going on with me. I did a wool warehouse order to get these two for the honey clutch, my new honey clutch. And then at the same time, I just threw in another Drops Kid Silk mohair in the Moonshine colourway, which is the one that I used for the honey. My other honeycomb, oh my god, my other honeycomb clutch, I used this. And this is not really coming up, but this is like a white mohair with like dark black fibres in, so it's like a mottled effect. And I actually bought this because of my college project at the moment, to sort of do a couple of samples in and, you know, college stuff basically. I got that for college anyway. And for one of my retail hobby purchases, I got these two. Now, this is another James N. Watts design. I'm sure it's called Earth and Air. I'll put a picture here, obviously. And this is another brioche pattern. So this is the big brioche pattern that I was talking about. And the picture will explain it better than I will, but it's a two colour pattern, and then one's sort of at the forefront and one's at the back. And I am wanting a warmer everyday jumper for the house because my ranunculuses are amazing, but it's getting a bit colder now and I'm wanting like a more snuggly one. So this is perfect for that. And also apparently it's a really quick knit, and it's quite a cheap knit in the fact that you don't actually need that much yardage for it because it's a big needle, all that stuff. And for some reason I'm not in the mood. Maybe it's because my mental health is not good at the moment, but I'm just not in the mood for like a brightly coloured everyday jumper. So I thought, well, first of all I saw this. They're both by Mayflower. This is a Kid Silk by Mayflower, and this is the Easy Care Merino by Mayflower. So this is 100% merino, and this is 76% mohair and 24% silk. They are, well, this is cheaper than the Rowan one, and this is more expensive than the drops. Like, they're both more expensive than the drops, which I consider like the budget friendly ones, but it's not like crazy expensive, so it's still like really affordable for me anyway. And they're both like, this is like next to Skin Soft, like I could definitely wear this as like a bralette, not wear anything underneath it, and it wouldn't bother me. This is again really, really soft, definitely softer than the drops. So this is next to Skin Soft as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Like I was saying, I got distracted. I found this one is the first colour that I was like, I need that. And I don't actually like knitting with darker colours because it's really hard to see. But because it's sort of like, I really don't know how to describe it apart from if you look at the picture you'll be able to see. But each row you're not just working, like it's not a solid, really dark colour. You're always having this to sort of contrast it so you can still see the individual stitches, if I'm making sense there. So anyway, I found this one first and I thought, perfect, I love this colour. It's not really, well, yeah, it's kind of coming up, kind of. It's nicer in person for sure. And I didn't want a bright colour, I wanted a more neutral colour, and I'll see this one, if you go onto their website, there's like, I don't even know how many colours, but there is so many colours. So many colours. And eventually I thought, let's go for this one. So it's going to be a more neutral, I mean, the contrast like isn't actually that great on these. So I think they're going to sort of merge in together and create actually a really nice colour. And I'm really excited to have this because it's getting cold. And I actually think see, this is the thing, like, how do I balance what I want to knit, what I need to knit? Like, how can I explain this? Like, I want to cast this on right now because I need a warmer jumper to wear, but I want, like, for my peace of mind, I need to finish projects before I cast on another one. So here's my thought process here. I'm gonna finish that, look at my holes. I'm gonna finish that. Oh, yeah. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's so hard. It's so hard. I don't know. I'm probably gonna finish that, look at my holes, cast this on, and at the same time be knitting on the socks, the honey clutch, and hopefully picking up my garland every now and then, so that I get this faster, because I really, really need a warmer jumper that's soft. I've not really made any warm jumpers, apart, like, all of the jumpers that I've made are ranunculuses, or they're like acrylic crocheted ones, which aren't my thing. So I need this. This was bought out of necessity. So yeah. No. One, that's it. Like, that's it for acquisitions. But there's one other thing that I want to talk about, which is to do with college actually. Well, no, it wasn't actually. This is another thing that was born out of necessity. So when I knit, if I'm not, I basically only wear ranunculuses, and when I'm knitting, because these sleeves aren't like tight up to here, the sleeves like are always like down here and I'm knitting, and obviously you lose a lot of heat here. So I was thinking, my thought process was like, let's knit some arm warmers, like just some wrist warmers, literally just like a tube of fabric to go over here, because then it doesn't matter if these fall down, I'm always going to have warmth up here, and they always get really cold. I end up like having to pull these up and like knit like this, and it's really annoying. So maybe I'll I think I took a picture of what this yarn looked like before I dyed it, but my auntie had given me a while ago, had given me some unlabeled yarn. I think it was probably definitely undyed, just like straight up. And to my vaguely trained eye, it looks hand spun. It looks very, very neatly hand spun. Definitely not something that I would be capable of hand spinning myself. And she is a hand spinner. She didn't tell me that she spun this. Maybe she got it from a pal that hand spun it. I'm completely guessing here. I've no idea. But anyway, and it is so soft. I mean, I've knit with different fibres. I know what different fibres feel like. Not like specific to the breed sheep. Obviously, like merino is a specific breed and that's soft. And I know that like other sheep aren't as soft. I can't think of a name of another sheep, but like alpaca is really soft and it has a nice drape, and silk, blah 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 blah. You know, I know the properties of some wool, and to my vaguely trained eye, I've not even shown it, but this feels like an alpaca merino blend. I could be completely wrong. I don't, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's superwash or non-superwash. I don't know. Anyway, it's so soft. My guess would be that it is a sport weight. Didn't come with any labels. That's what leads me to believe it's hand spun, but didn't come with any labels or anything, and it was white. When I got it, it was white. And another thing that auntie gave to me, her name's Janet. Why do I keep calling it Janet? Gave to me was some natural dyeing stuff. She gave me sanders wood, safflower, and something else, which I have been meaning to use for the longest time. I've been meaning to use it, and I thought, let's give it a go for this, because it would make it more interesting to look at and make it more special for me to wear if I'd put in, you know, if I'd had some fun with it and made it my own. So this is getting blown out. This is darker than what it is. It's like a peach. That's the only way I can describe it as peach. It's darker than that in real life. It is darker. And for this, I use sanders wood and safflower to dye it with. I ruined a pot, which I knew what was going to happen, and I've kind of dyed the oven top as well, but yeah, I dyed this. This is my first like proper natural dyeing thing. The only thing that I've naturally dyed with before is turmeric and red cabbage, and I know that like they fade really fast, and I went out and I bought the modern for this. Like I'm serious about this. I bought the modern. Don't ask me what it is. I'll put it in the description. But I got the modern. I properly like made the dye bath, and I like properly did this. So hopefully this sticks and it doesn't fade. I mean, obviously all natural dyes are gonna fade, but hopefully this one doesn't fade the same that it would if I just dyed it without the modern or whatever. Anyway, long story short, yeah, so I cast on these arm warmers like 6 times, and I couldn't find a good pattern, like a good just like straight up knit pattern for arm warmers. So I just cast on them out of stitches and knit. Tried it on, wasn't right. Cast on again, wasn't right. Cast on again, wasn't right. And in the end, I gave up. But I really need these. Like, oh, it's really getting to me. If anybody knows of any arm warmer patterns that call for a sport weight, I want to use a 3.25mm needle. Vaguely sport weight, could be considered a DK weight. Arm warmer, wrist warmer. Why am I calling an arm warmer? It's wrist warmer pattern. Please let me know, because I'm trying to guess and it's not going great. It's not, because I want it to be like, the whole idea is that it's like tight to my arm, but I don't want it to be too tight. I know I don't want it to be too loose that it just falls down like the same way this does. I'm gonna try again. I'm probably gonna try again and make it probably a bit too big and then just be done with it, because I need the arm. Like, do you know what's so satisfying is when you've actually got like a problem and you can fix it. Well, how do I describe it? Like for instance, the Garland jumper, it's beautiful and I want it because it's beautiful. For the look at my horse thing, it's beautiful, so I want it because it's beautiful. But for like the earth and air jumper, I want it because I need it. I need it because I'm cold, and I need those wrist warmers because I'm cold. So there's something really cool about needing something and being able to knit it and to solve that problem, and I want to do that, and I know that it'd be like a super fast knit, and I just need to do it. I just need to do it. I just need to do it. I think that kind of wraps up everything. I've sort of covered what I want to knit on next, because I want to finish all of these basically. I want to finish all of these, finish the look at my holes, hopefully cast on the earth and air jumper, hopefully cast on the little tank top that goes underneath the look at my holes, and just finish everything that's in front of me right now. Yeah, what else to say? Nothing. College isn't going great because my anxiety is awful and my mental health is being rocky. Yay, fun. I have finished my room though. I did actually take some stuff off of this because it was just like a load of shit was on here basically, so I took some off because it was kind of an eyesore. But I got a big storage unit to put all of my stuff in. I've got another storage unit there. I put that whole thing is just wool, and I've got other boxes over there that are just wool. And I've got a big table, big mirror to take nice pictures in, and I just need a rug. I need a rug and a tablecloth, because I do a lot of painting and I need to protect the table because it's beautiful. And that's me. That's all I've got to say. That's all I've been up to. And yeah, I will see you next time. Hopefully with all of those things finished. Hopefully with nothing else cast on. I just want to do this. I just want to do this. Just want to focus and do this. So I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you liked and want to see more, because it means a lot, and I just like knitting and I want other people to have a conversation with me about knitting. That's the only reason why I'm doing this. And yeah, I hope you have a nice week, month, year, and I will see you next time. Bye.